Hi everybody, welcome to the Pins and Needles podcast. This is episode 45. My name is Zoe and you can find me everywhere on Ravelry and Instagram as Pins and Needles UK. If you check the box down below, you'll find links to everything I talk about, including my Ravelry designer page if you're interested in looking at my patterns. And I also help organise the knit tea retreats here in the UK along with Jenny of Owl About Yarn. So there's also links to the retreat newsletter and also to Jenny's newsletter if you're interested in Owl About Yarn. Also if you're interested in the retreats, you can find information on those at www.theknittearetreat.com. And we are at the Knit Tea Retreat on Instagram and Facebook as well. But again, links to everything down below. So a massive welcome to all of my new subscribers. Goodness me, I just finished Vlogmas, a couple of days ago, and I think I've got something like 140 new subscribers just this last month. So massive hello to anybody that's new. And in case you didn't pick it up from Vlogmas, I live in Wales in the UK with my husband Dave, my three lovely children and Jim the dog, who is currently snoozing on a beanbag. I know how much you all love seeing him, but he's tired and he can't be made to appear today. Yes, thank you very much for all of your comments on Vlogmas. It was hard work doing it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I haven't gone back through the last video, my Christmas Day video, and responded to the comments yet. I've been having a little social media break, but I did read every single one of them, and I will try and get round to that this week. This is that odd time of year between Christmas and the New Year when it's a bit of a struggle to get anything done, but I will get round to replying to those, so thank you very much indeed. First up, I wanted to remind everybody that you can now, by the time this video goes live on the 1st of January, the Newfangled make-along for 2019 will have started. This is a make-along that I'm doing for the second time, and it starts on the 1st of January and it lasts until the 28th of February. Although if you started 1 or 2 days before the 1st of January and you didn't tell me, I probably wouldn't know. Otherwise, there's no whips. And the whole point of the Newfangled make-along is that you need to try something new. So my project will be trying quilting for the first time, which reminds me, I completely forgot to bring my quilting squares to show you. Anyway, I haven't started anything yet. I'm going to be making a rectangular quilted mat about this big to rest my sewing machine on. I push and pull my sewing machine around my table quite a bit because I've got limited tabletop space. And at the moment it's on an old folded up tea towel for added slippiness. So I thought maybe a nice quilted mat would be a project to start myself with quilting. Other people are trying steeking. What else is going on? Colour work for the first time, but it can be any new craft. I think the first time we did it, we had bookbinding and pyrography. So it can be a whole new craft, it can be a new pattern, a new designer, a new kind of material. I really don't care. If it's new to you, it totally counts. There is a thread set up in the Pins and Needles podcast group. I think there's a link to that down below, and there's quite a bit of chat going on in there already. So do come and join us. I'll open a finished object thread in a week or so when we've all managed to get going a bit. I did notice on Instagram yesterday that there's a couple of other podcasters that are all getting together to host another, I can't remember the name of it, and I record on my phone, but I think Sweet Sparrow Knits is involved, and they're doing another sort of new make-along. I'll try and look it up and put it on the screen, and I just didn't want you to think that I pinched their idea. I haven't. I've been talking about this for weeks. But anyway, I thought I'd mention it because if you do want to double dip in both alongs, that's absolutely fine with me. Mine is not an exclusive knit along. I'm not sure what their rules are, but do go and have a look because why not double up on the chance of winning prizes? We do have some prizes, which I've also forgotten to bring. So a huge thank you to Linda, who donated some yarns, and also to Mars. Hi Mars! She is Hey Brownberry on Instagram and on YouTube. She has a fabulous podcast, and she has very kindly donated a digital download copy of her new sock pattern, which she released in November, and that's the Pebbles and Pathways sock pattern, and she kindly gave permission for me to include a photo, so I'll put that in here. So if anyone else is interested in donating prizes, do please let me know. You can send me an email at hipinsandneedles@gmail.com. Pins and Needles? Pins and Needles UK? I can't remember. It's in the down bar below. So yes, do come along to the group and try something new for the start of 2019. I don't have any finished objects to share with you at the moment, I'm afraid. I've just been busy working on lots of different things, so no finished objects this week, but hopefully I will have some for you next time. So I'm going to dive straight into works in progress. Before I actually start waving things at you, the beginning of the year, 2019, a lot of people have started doing the Make 9, where you choose 9 things that you want to knit also in the year, and you do a little grid of them, and then you put it up on your Instagram feed or whatever it is. And I know that lovely Emma of Elderwood Craft, she's doing a Make 9 along in her group as well, so you might be interested in playing along with that. I approached things a little differently last year. I didn't do Make 9. What I did was create a tab in my queue in Ravelry called 2018. And then I put all of the items from my Ravelry queue in there that I wanted to try and make. And then I got all of those yarns out of my stash and I bagged them up with a pattern ready to go. And I kept those projects separately to the rest of my stash. Those are kept in a small, I've got one of those IKEA cubes that's all got holes in it, the wooden crate sort of things. I keep that in my bedroom, and that's where the year's worth of projects went. Well, needless to say, I haven't completed very many of them. I've not done as much knitting this last year as I would have liked. Work has been incredibly demanding. But I've made some lovely things, and I still think that idea of choosing projects and separating them out and getting them ready to grab and go is a really good one. However, lovely Angela of the YarnNYarns podcast and also of the YarnNYarns shop, my local yarn shop, she does 12 cast-ons of Christmas. And she's done Vlogmas as well, and then at the very end of that run of videos she started recording her 12 cast-ons of Christmas, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Every day for 12 days she casts on something new. The idea being that there are some things that she'll continue working on fairly immediately, but the others are there, ready to use whenever she's in the mood or whenever she has the time. And I thought I was going to pinch her idea. It's a very good idea, Ange, because obviously last year's efforts at bagging up the pattern and yarn didn't give me enough of a push to actually get on with the projects. I must confess that I don't enjoy starting projects. I like winding yarn, but I hate faffing around with tension squares and finding the needles and reading the instructions and colouring in all the stupid bits. Blech. No, don't like it. So I'm going to take my idea of separating out some stash and Angela's idea of casting everything on, and I'm going to combine the two. So I've ended up with sort of half a dozen or so projects on the needles at the moment, which is quite a lot for me. So I'll take you through those and then you'll be able to see what I'm working on. So thank you very much to Ange. And I keep giving her a shout out. She has a fabulous podcast. Please go and watch it. In fact, I'm going to make a note. I've got my laptop down here with my show notes on to add link to Ange's podcast. So there will be a link down below. Right. I'm just going to grab project bags from my basket down below. So if you've seen my Vlogmas, you'll have seen this. This is my fabulous Manatee project bag from Knit Spin Quilt, which I really love. It's a lovely big size. And in here are my Christmas socks. And I finished one. There it is, look. And I've got the second sock on the needles. I've just done the cuff and a little bit of the leg. And these are being knitted from West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply. This is the Fairylights colourway, and this is the Cayenne Pepper colourway. Cayenne Pepper? Yes, Cayenne Pepper colourway. And this is West Yorkshire Spinners 2018 Christmas colourway. And I bought these two from Angela at the Knit Tea Retreat Marketplace. And it's my own sock recipe pattern. Not long ago I released my As Requested socks pattern, and that's a basic stocking stitch cuff down sock pattern. Two patterns, one for double pointed needles and one for magic loop. And as well as having the patterns in there for you ready to follow, it also includes several pages of basic information about sock construction, about understanding the proportions of the stitch counts, that should enable you to be able to customise a sock pattern. So if you're new to sock knitting and you're interested in that, go and find my designer page on Ravelry. Anyway, the point is socks. So here are my labels. West Yorkshire Spinners, Signature 4-ply. I can't remember the colourway numbers off the top of my head, but they'll be in the show notes underneath. So I'm enjoying this. It's sort of a nice brainless project. It's a little bit in hibernation at the moment because I am rather behind on this year's / last year's Christmas knitting. I promised my brother socks and he didn't give me his foot measurements, so he didn't get them in time for Christmas. So when I saw him, I made him take his socks off and stand with his heels against the skirting board so I could measure his feet. Now, one of these is finished. I think I cast the first one on when I was at Mum's for Christmas. So it's probably the 23rd or 24th of December. And today it's the 31st. So I've managed one whole sock. Now my brother's got big feet like me. We're both a size 10. So this is a 72 stitch sock. Top down, heel flap and gusset. 2x2 rib at the top. And I absolutely love the yarn. This is some yarn I picked up from the bring and take table at the Knit Tea Retreat. So thank you very much to whoever donated that because I am loving it. So it's Regia Design Line 4-ply and it's the Arne and Carlos range, colourway 02463. So there you go. Yeah, really enjoying these. Dave and I have been watching series 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we absolutely love. It's very exciting. So this is perfect TV knitting, just round and round and round. And that's how far I've got on the second sock. I think I've got another inch and then I can do the heel flap. So these are my top priority at the moment. I'm really trying to whiz through these so he can get them on his feet in winter. That's those. My other sort of slightly longer term work in progress, again you will have seen this if you've been watching my vlogs, is kept in this lovely quilted bag which was made for me by Jeanette and given to me as a gift. And this is my bag containing my Advent minis. I signed up for a swap with Becky from my Ravelry group. So she bundled up a load of her scraps and sent them to me in little parcels with chocolate, and I got to open one every day up until Christmas Day. And I finished 2 squares. This is the first one and this is the second one, and I haven't managed to cast on any more yet. I'm several days behind, but I will try and get caught up. If you're interested in knowing what the individual yarns are, you're going to have to trawl back through each one of my Vlogmas videos because I open each one every day and I tell you what the yarn is. But it's a jumble of 4-ply yarns and it's a 31 stitch mitered square. And this is based on a pattern by K.F. Jones. She is part of the Bakery Bears and the pattern is available on Ravelry. It's called A Stitch in Time. I started this before she released the pattern. She was just talking about the square she was knitting on her podcast, and I just sort of reverse engineered it from there. But her pattern is well worth the money. There's lots of tutorials in there, so I'm really enjoying that. So, I've got lots of other lovely minis of yarn that I haven't had a chance to wind up yet. Look at that one. And the ones that I have used, they're balled up, and I'm keeping them in this tartan sack. I bought a king-size tartan duvet set from Asda's with the intention of making Christmas pyjamas for my kids, and of course never got round to it. But anyway, the set of sheets came in this handy bag, so I have got an absolute sack full of minis. And these are the ones I've used so far. And what have I got? I think I've used them all. Yes, because they're all wound up in balls. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 minis that I haven't yet wound up or used. So I will try and get those done. Best not to lose momentum on these kinds of things. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and it was such a pleasure to use all the different yarns. So thank you very much, Becky. That was fabulous. Yes. In my lovely bag from Duckpool Lane, I've got 1 project on the needles and 1 ready to go. So my smallest boy, Max, has been getting chilly hands, and he asked if I could knit him some fingerless gloves. So I raided my stash, and I knit my dad some Christmas socks, which I showed on the podcast, on the Vlogmas, and I had quite a bit of yarn left over. This is West Yorkshire Spinners Aire Valley Essential DK. It's in the colourway 0491. So it's a 75-25 blend, really nice workhorse yarn. And, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in a terrible mess. 2 of my kids and Dave are out at the pictures. It's just me and Jocelyn. So I grabbed the opportunity to podcast quick, but I'm not quite up to snuff with getting myself organised. So I've got a massive standard lamp rather than my official podcast light, and I'm not quite sorted. So somewhere in here is the pattern. Yes, here we are. So I'm making Handsies, and this is a kids fingerless mitt pattern by Anne Hanson, who is Knit Spot. Again, you can find her on Ravelry, and it's a lovely DK pattern for fingerless mitts for kids from about 2 years of age up to about 12, to fit hand circumference from 5 inches up to 7 inches. So really nice pattern. You can knit them plain, but she does also include 4 charted sort of patterns for the back of the hand. 3 are rib and 1 is a slight lace, so it's a really handy pattern. And of course you could fit your own stitch pattern in if you wanted to. And I have completed the first mitten. Oh no, I haven't done the thumb. Nearly. So it's 3 inches of ribbing, and then this sort of diagonal rib pattern and 1/2 inch of rib at the top. I measured Max's hand circumference around here, and he's actually 7.5 inches, which is a little bit larger than the largest pattern size. So all I did was go up a needle size. The pattern calls for 3.5 and I went up to 3.75. And again, with the knit pearl pattern on the back, it is quite stretchy. I mean, I can get them on. They're a bit snug. There we are, look. They do come up a bit longer on Max. It's almost up to his little finger, because hopefully they'll last. I mean, he's bound to lose them. He's lost 2 winter coats in the last term at school. So yeah, they're really quick to do. This was 2 evenings work, possibly a little bit longer. Like I said, I stopped knitting this in order to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that's that. And at some point when I finished Max's, I need to cast on some for Conrad. And I've got this lovely ball of navy Arne, because he's grown out of his. I knit him some a couple of years ago and he wears them all the time, but they're just too short now. My next work in progress is the one I'm currently obsessed with. It has been such a long time since I've knitted anything complicated. I have 3 children. I have 2 or 3 businesses to run, depending on how you look at it. And I'm just exhausted all the time. So I've spent a lot of this last year knitting, you know, socks and simple things. And I was really missing getting my teeth into some knitting. So given that I had a bit more time in Xmas, have you heard that? Xmas, between Christmas and New Year. I took the opportunity to cast on a pattern I've had for quite some time and just never, I tried to start it once, but I gave up in frustration. So this is a shawl pattern. It's the Loden shawl pattern. It's by Irina Dmitrieva and it's for Brooklyn Tweed. Now the interesting thing about this shawl pattern is that it's bottom up. So you cast on over 400 stitches and you then decrease all the way to the very top. Yes, I won't give you anything away by showing you the schematic. So you can see here, this is where you start and these little arrows show you the direction of knitting. And what I was particularly keen on, I'm not sure how well it will show up. Can you see these smocked stitches at the bottom? They look a bit like leaves. That's what really drew me to the pattern. So I dug out some of the oldest yarn in my stash. This is it. That's actually a rather good colour representation. This is Araucania Ranco Solid in the colourway green. It doesn't seem to have a colourway number, but it's just green. I do have 2 skeins. It's quite a large shawl. You do need, I think, 800 yards, something like that. It's definitely a 2 skeiner, but I won't be alternating skeins. They're fairly variegated anyway, and it's really not going to make much of a difference because it's such a highly patterned shawl. So the rows are incredibly long, but I've done enough to hopefully show you a bit if it's not too noodly. So there's a smocked leaf. Can you see that? And then I'm just starting more decreases here. So I'm about maybe halfway through the first chart, but I'm really enjoying it. And it's all pearls on the wrong side rows, so you get a nice break. But you can already see the scalloped edge, can't you? And if I stretch it out, look at that. Oh, and it looks far more complicated than it actually is. It's really not that difficult. I need to look out. I've got one of those metal magnet boards, you know. I need to look that out. But what I'm trying to do at the moment, while I've done 1 shift at work and another full day of paperwork, which hasn't been fun, but I'm not on shift for a few more days. So I'm trying to get up before anybody else in the morning, which isn't that hard because my kids are sleeping in at the moment. And I try and do 1 right side row and 1 wrong side row every day, just to keep the pattern in my head and to try and make some progress. And of course, with the rows getting shorter rather than longer, that's very encouraging as well. So yes, I'm really pleased to be cracking on with that. The pattern called for a 4mm needle, which is fairly standard for a fingering weight shawl. I went up to 4.5mm, partly because I think I need my 4mm needle tips for something else. And also I had a bit more yarn than the pattern called for, and I'd like a bigger shawl if I can. I did check the other project notes on Ravelry, and a lot of people said they didn't need as much yarn as the pattern stated, so I'm fairly confident I can get away with it. And if I do need more yarn to finish it off, if I run out, I think it's a fairly standard yarn, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. Then my last work in progress is my embroidery kit. And this is from a company called Oh So Beautiful. And they're on Facebook and Instagram. It's ohsobootiful.com. And this lovely lady sells embroidery kits. And we won a competition, didn't we? Jenny and I both entered her Instagram giveaway competition. and I entered and tagged Jenny, and she entered and tagged me, and Jenny won. So she very kindly let me pick a kit to order, and I chose a Christmas design. So as you can see, the pattern is printed on the fabric, and I've just made a start on this first flower. I've just done one of the colours. I might treat myself and do the other petals later. And I've never done embroidery before, so I'm starting with the easy satin stitch. But the lovely thing is the kit includes absolutely everything you need. So it includes the hoop and the printed cotton. And if you have a look at the back, it's got a fleecy square of fabric as well. You get a sheet of sorry, we've gone ever so fuzzy there. There we go. You get a sheet of instructions, and you get the embroidery threads, you get 2 needles, and you also get some cotton, and she explains how to finish the back off nicely if you want to sort of draw it all in and keep it in the frame. So yes, I'm really enjoying that. I haven't done any for a couple of days because I've been casting on something new every day, but I think I will get back to that. And the nice thing about it is you can pick it up and put it down in the same way you can with knitting. I've always found with sewing it's a bit more of an effort to get started with it, but literally you can pick it up and do 2 minutes and tuck it away again. So I'm really enjoying that. It may well take me a whole year to get it finished, but that's fine. And I reckon that when it is finished, it will live with the Christmas decorations, and it will come out for a few weeks every year, and then be tucked away again. So there we go. I'm really enjoying that. The other work in progress that I haven't touched recently is another Brooklyn tweed pattern. It's the Stasis pullover. I think I showed that the last podcast I recorded. It's been such a long time since I did a normal podcast. I haven't made any progress on that at the moment. What I need to do is rework the decrease rate of the sleeves because my tension is a bit off. So I need some time with that to do a bit of maths. But yeah, so that's all my whips. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whips, which is a lot for me. Normally I only have 2 or 3. And I'll be casting on another one probably tonight. New Year's Eve cast on, why not? On to acquisitions. Now, I've been quite restrained, apart from the massive sack of minis that Becky sent me for the Advent calendar swap. I haven't made any purchases to tell you about. I have received a couple of gifts. This lovely skein of yarn was the Christmas Day gift from my Advent calendar. And it's from a company called Caledonia Dye Works, and they are on Instagram. And this is their Sutherland 4-ply sock yarn. So it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And this colour is called Kinross. So I'm not sure if it's self-striping or just multicoloured, but isn't that gorgeous? I really like that. It reminds me of autumn sunsets. So yeah, that was my day 25 project along with a chocolate teddy bear. So that was lovely to receive. And then something I just forgot to wave on the last vlog that I did when we went to festival. Maria, a friend and my tech editor, bought Jenny and I a present, and it was 2 balls of sock yarn. Super Garner Active, and it's 50% wool, 25% cotton and 25% polyamide. And these are they. So I'm really interested to have a go at knitting with these, to see the warmth difference, to see how they hold up in terms of recovery. You know, do they bag out faster than normal socks? I'm not sure. And I'm assuming that the 25% cotton is that sort of white marl effect that you get in it. I think it's just sort of one of the plies. So I really like these. So what I'll probably do is knit this up for Dave or Dad, because they knit their socks all year round, and this is quite good man colours. And then these will be something for me. Yes, it's self-striping, gives you a little picture on the back. So I can just do a vanilla or a rib or something like that. So yes, thank you, Maria. Those were lovely. And when I was talking about the mass cast on, and I struggle to get projects going, so that's why it's a good idea. I don't struggle with socks because I have a pattern in my head, and particularly with self-striping, I can just pick it up, grab some needles and go. I do like to wind the yarn into cakes first if I can. So that's the only yarny acquisitions I've got. My mum bought me a book. You've got to have a Christmas book. And for quite a while I've been after this, which is 750 knitting stitches. The Ultimate Knit Stitch Bible. It's easily available off Amazon. Now, when I was typing up my show notes, I was trying to find who wrote it. But it doesn't say, it doesn't mention a single author anywhere. Again, I checked in the back and it seems to have had several contributors. It says, thanks to Kate Haxel, Susie Johns and Erica Knight for selecting and compiling the stitches. So I think maybe it was a bit of a collaborative work. What I do like is that it lists the knitters that made the swatches in the images. I think that's really lovely. I haven't had much of a chance to look through it yet, so it's not like I can give you a review. But yes, it's absolutely chock full of really nice stitches. One thing I will say is I'm not a fan of pastels, so I don't really like the colours of the swatches regardless. But in some of them, they choose such a pale colour and then they put the swatch on a pale background that it can actually be quite hard to see the stitch pattern, which strikes me as a bit of an oversight. But it's not all of them. Yeah, if you look at the lace diamond border one here, wouldn't that be better in a darker yarn on a white background? Anyway, this is going to be absolutely brilliant. It's got colour work, textures, ribs, lace, all sorts. Really good book. Thanks, Mum. So that was my other knitty Christmas present, along with a sheep brooch. My little sheep. He's got little leather legs and pearl eyes, and he looks a bit boss-eyed to me. Actually, I could put him on. I wore him on Christmas Day, but he's been in his box on my table waiting for me to podcast. There we are. There we go. So I think that's sort of everything, really. I'll get back to my every other week podcasting schedule from now on, so hopefully I'll be a bit more regular. Jenny and I aren't going away for any yarn shows until Edinburgh in March, so I will make sure to get her on the next podcast if I possibly can. So all that remains for me to say is thank you very much indeed for watching. If you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up, click subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And as I mentioned, do come and join us in the Newfangled Make-Along Cow. You can find us in the Ravelry group and come and join in all the fun. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye!